I'd like to take a minute to talk about faith. It's an important topic for all of us, I think, but especially for the men and women serving in the U.S. military at this time. Faith isn't a possession or a characteristic. It's not a badge or something that you can put your hands on. It's a way of doing things. It's a trust that there's something bigger and more important in the world than just us. Whatever we do in this life isn't just about us. It's about something more. And whatever you think that something is, it is meant for goodness, and so are we. This is really important for all of us now, but especially those who are serving in the military, and that's true for a couple of reasons. First, you got a hard job. There's a lot of stress, a lot of big decisions, a lot of gray area, really, especially now when the military is being used in ways that are different than the ways it's been used before. Not against external enemies of America in measured battle, but against United States citizens in U.S. cities, among your brothers and sisters. And I know that procedures and orders are supposed to take care of a lot of that interpretation and guesswork, but the way I understand it, we are never supposed to just accept those orders blindly. The same way we're never called to regard something as faithful just because somebody wearing a collar says it. We need to ask enough questions to make sure that what we're doing really serves a greater good. The oaths and the covenants that we made when we joined up with an organization greater than ourselves. The traditions and the philosophies that underpin those organizations and our reason for being in it. Now, these questions are put before us in this time in greater number and gravity than most of us have experienced in our lifetimes. And if we lose that sense of connection to something bigger and nobler than just ourselves, the sense of goodness for people beyond us, a sense of purpose to serve that greater goodness, then we have lost our reason for being. And no orders or procedures can bring that back if we don't hold on to it. The other reason faith is important right now is because I honestly think that we're tempted to ignore everything I just said about this bigger connection, to fall prey instead to our own self-interest. We're tempted by people who are eager to fill us up with pride and self-congratulations to get what they want. They tell us that somehow we are more special, not because of what we do or the goodness it brings, but simply because we exist, simply because we signed up, simply because we listen to what they say. They want us to derive our identity from blind obedience, not faithful obedience. In this way, they take something that is meant to be good and they use it for great harm, making themselves the center of our lives and our faith. The lever that they use to accomplish this is really simple. They make you feel good about the power that you wield for its own sake and for their sake. They want you to feel empty. They want you to feel on your own. They want then to give you words that will fill you up and make you feel good and noble and full again. But real faith doesn't work this way. In faith, we trust that we are infinitely loved, infinitely full, and have infinite purpose already. That's why we were put here in the first place. We may live out that gift differently, but it's given to all of us. No man can bestow it upon us, and no man can take it away. If we hold on to it and do not surrender it, it will be ours forever. That's the promise that we get from one far greater than ourselves. But small, fearful men do not understand this. They don't feel infinite gifts or the sense of anything greater than themselves and their own desires. All they know is emptiness and fear inside, and they cover that up by exerting the power of their offices and their uniforms against anyone who will not bow to them. You've heard stories and speeches in recent days, and you're going to continue to hear them from such small and fearful men. When you do, it's time to recall the greater faith. Now, you may ask me, with some validity, how dare I claim these things? By what right do I address you? I'm not, and never have been, a member of the military. But neither have the people who are giving you orders from on high right now. So I feel bold, on a footing of faith, human being to human being, citizen to citizen, person who serves to people who serve, to offer an alternative perspective. You can tell the measure of a man by the fruits that come out of his words and actions. Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump are small, empty, fearful men. Their vision of the military was likely formed by movies they watched as kids. And feeling inadequate and empty in the face and the stories of true greatness, feeling inadequate and empty in what they do as grown-ups now, they're playing pretend, as if they were the heroes in this story. They put on cloaks of power and office that greater men and women have held before them. But President Trump and Mr. Hegseth wear them as disguises, making themselves feel full and powerful by doing so at the expense of everyone around them. In the same way, they use the goodness of your calling, of your duty, of your uniforms to uplift themselves and to support this game that they're playing. They're small men pretending that they're big, because that emptiness and fear inside leaves them no other way to solve their issues than self-delusion. Now, I think you don't need me to tell you this. I think you have seen it already. The people who make the most noise before a fight are inevitably the people who are covering up the most weakness. We learned that from the old movies and stories too. And ironically, if you watch those movies again today, our leaders have become characters that are very much like the villains in them. They just don't dare admit it. Now, I say this not to insult these men in particular, but because under the guise of strength and power and authority, they are going to try to weaken you. That's how they get you to crave their praise. That's a story as old as the book of Genesis with the snake in the tree. They want you to feel empty so they can fill you up with their bombastic approval, making your obedience to them the standard by which they judge your fitness. Not your own power, not your own purpose, not the great calling that you have to serve, but their own crafty game of emptiness and fear and pretending. It's important in this time, in the face of this, to have faith and to remember that you are already full. You do not need the praise of even powerful men to establish who you are and what your purpose is in this life. Much less do you need the praise and approval of weak and empty puppets who expose themselves more and more with every word and every action. Only knowing that you are already full, that you're already connected to a bigger, higher purpose in what you do, will allow you to see through that illusion of power that they are trying to sell you, the illusion that strips your real power and purpose, and inevitably will leave you just as empty as they are. You do not need the praise or approval of small men in order to justify yourself, even if those men exist in the chain of command. The praiseworthiness of being in the military does not come from just putting on the uniform, nor from listening without a second thought to those who would use it to break your purpose instead of uphold it. The praiseworthiness of being in the military is the connection with the world, the goodness that you bring into the world, the cause of freedom that you preserve in the world through your service. Without that goodness, there is no real purpose and no real praise. I hope you think about this as you hear the words of those who would take your God-given power and use it for their own bent purposes, who would use you to strike out against their enemies, not the enemies of goodness or freedom, but their enemies. Those who would define you as servants and lackeys to enforce their will on anyone who dares to disagree with them or offer an alternative to their empty and fearful view of life. We are not given a spirit of fear to cower in a self-created darkness where we are the center of the universe and everybody else is an enemy. We have been given a spirit of hope, of goodness, and of purpose, to fulfill our calling in a way that helps the people around us and reflects the fullness that we ourselves have inherited from the God who loves us. The God who gifts us also with discernment, with power, and with the ultimate command to use all that for something good. God bless you and keep you as you continue to serve. And God bless and keep the people that you will stand across from in the streets of American cities. At the command of people, I fear, who see no God but themselves and no purpose but preserving their own power. I pray that you will remember this day and every day, this moment and every moment, not just who you are, but who you are meant to be, and what this is all about. Not politics, not preservation of power, but faith in a God-given mission to do good in the world, not just good for those above you, but for everyone around you.